we showed you what is happening on the streets of Portland, Oregon yesterday, but these riots are also taking place in Chicago as well. And the president says he's going to be sending an extra reinforcement. We'll discuss with the former governor of Illinois in just a minute. But first, Kanye West is making the headlines again after he announced he'd be running for the president of the United States back in July, on July 4th. He has now been working to get his name on state ballots. And over the weekend, the rapper gave an emotional campaign speech during his own rally in South Carolina. Listen to this.
My mom saved my life. My dad wanted to abort me. My mom saved my life. There would have been no Kanye West because my dad was too busy.
Well, West went on to make statements like Harriet Tubman never actually freed the slaves. And now some are actually wondering if he has lost it, especially after his Twitter rant last night, saying things like the movie Get Out was about him and that his famous mother-in-law, Kris Jenner, is going to lock him up. He later deleted those tweets. And all that paired with the fact that he has now failed to make filing deadlines in South Carolina and Michigan. So will his bid for the White House actually have an impact on the presidential election? Let's bring in civil rights lawyer Leo Terrell. Leo, great to see you again.
Thank you, Lindsay. Hi, Sean. How are you? Thank you.
Good.
All right. Well, he is on the ballot in Oklahoma, and he has time to make a few more states. But will this affect Biden or Trump at all? Does it matter to either of them?
Well, first of all, anybody can run for president if you're 35 years of age and you've been in the country for 14 years. But will it make an impact? It really depends on what states he's going to qualify in. Oklahoma, he's not going to qualify in South Carolina. And if he's qualified in Oklahoma, it's not going to have an impact at all because Donald Trump is going to win Oklahoma hands down. I think Kanye West demonstrated on Sunday he's not fit for running for the office. People have the obvious choice to vote for him. I certainly would not because, to me, historically, he's inaccurate regarding Harriet Tubman, and he just, to me, is not qualified to lead this great nation.
Leo, you're absolutely right. It does depend on what states, because if he gets on the ballot in any of the tight battleground type states and he can pull a few thousand votes, that could tip a state. Like, I mean, if you think Minnesota was really, really close, right? And it went for Hillary last time. If you pulled 20, 30, 40, 50,000 votes, that could make the difference between the electoral votes going to Trump versus Biden. So while you might not vote for him, do you think that young black men might be attracted to vote for a candidate like Kanye?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I think you're absolutely dead on, Sean. It depends on if he qualifies for those battleground states. And the call of your question is, will young black voters vote for Kanye West? Definitely, because they'll vote for him for obvious reasons. They like his music, they like him, they can relate to him for all the wrong, in my opinion, for all the wrong reasons. The person who's going to get hurt by that is Joe Biden, because in these states like Minnesota, Michigan, Wisconsin, it can have a major impact.
So something else we want to get your take on, Leo, is the AP Style Guide just came out with something really interesting just the other day, that now it's required that if you're referring to a black person, that you have to capitalize the B in black. But the same isn't true if you're talking about a white person. The W would still remain in the lower case. I mean, this just kind of seems silly that it's a double standard here. Obviously, Black Lives Matter, White Lives Matter. But the fact that now this is changed for one subgroup but not another, that just seems like a double standard from AP.
Lindsay, let me just get 30 years invested in civil rights law. My response to this is racist, 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 racist. Did I say racist? Racist. How in the world can AP say we're going to capitalize one group, identify one ethnic group, and not the other? Who puts them as the moral authority to make such a ruling? It's offensive to me. I didn't give them the authority whatsoever. And I think it's offensive to everyone. If you're going to identify certain ethnic groups, consistently, don't place one over the other. To me, it is insulting to Americans regardless of color. It's racist, it's political correctness, and it's worse.
Leo Terrell, man, you're on fire. I think you said it best.
Thank you.
I think
vote for Trump. Trump.
Well, you said it well. I think that's the point, is that you can't call for equality and then figure out how to keep driving us apart. That's the important part. Well, great points on both subjects. As always, I really appreciate your insight, and I'm sure we got a lot more to talk about in Kanye's run for the White House.
We got 100 days before the election, and feel free to call me. I feel liberated not being a Democrat this year. I feel totally liberated, and civil rights attorneys can be Republicans.
Okay, well, good to know. All right,
Thank
speaking
you.
of things that could possibly go Republican, let's maybe talk about Chicago. Who knows? Maybe it could happen. Maybe not full Republican, but the state house speaker, Democrat Michael Madigan, he's tied up in a corruption scandal. Might not be replaced by the Republican, but he may go. It's an alleged bribery scheme involving utility company ComEd, which forced the company to settle and pay out $200 million in fines. Prosecutors said that ComEd gave out jobs or contracts with people high up in the Illinois political system, and that Speaker Madigan was named in the suit. Governor J.B. Pritzker, who's also a Democrat, said that if these allegations are true, Madigan must resign because he would inherently have violated the public trust. For more on this, let's bring in the state's former governor, Democrat Rod Blagojevich. Governor, good to see you.
Thanks for having me, Sean. Thank you.
All right, Governor, you served with him. He's a fellow Democrat. Should he resign?
Well, he's also the Illinois State Democratic Party chairman as well as the Democratic House Speaker. He's been the House Speaker for 35 years. He's been down there in Springfield since 1972, 47 years. He has been presiding over and has engineered, actually, a wide and deep systemic way of corruption in Illinois that has actually made him a multimillionaire. Now, these allegations obviously are very serious. Commonwealth Edison has agreed to cooperate against him. They've indicated that in exchange for a deferred prosecution, they will fully and completely cooperate and tell what they know about Madigan. Now, do I believe that the things that are being alleged happened with this guy Madigan? Of course I do. I've known him since 1992. He's like an octopus. His tentacles are all over state government, Cook County government, city of Chicago government. He is the old-fashioned backroom political boss who controls just about everything. And so this is going to be very interesting to see what happens. And it's interesting how these Democratic leaders, my fellow Democrats, Pritzker, the Mayor Lightfoot, are suggesting that if these allegations are true, he should resign. They're all talking out of the same talking points that probably came from Madigan himself. If it's conditional language, he ought to step down. He should have stepped down a long time ago. Not even so much about this, but how he's controlled Illinois and has actually hurt people. People are paying higher property taxes because this guy got rich and wealthy in his legal practice, where he reduces property taxes for commercial properties, and the homeowner in the neighborhoods, they pay higher taxes because of it. And now with ComEd, consumers have gotten screwed because Madigan has done what he's done with them. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. I think he's going to do what he can to avoid it by hoping that Biden becomes the president, so that Biden then would quash these, appoint a new U.S. attorney and quash the potential indictment that's coming his way. I think that's his play.
Well, Governor, I got to ask you about what's going on there in Chicago with these rioters. I know that Mayor Lightfoot's not too happy about the president saying he's going to send in 150 federal troops. This is what Lightfoot said about it yesterday.
So our democracy is at stake. And I'll be darned if I'm going to let anybody, even if their name is Mr. President, bring those kind of troops to our city and try to take off our residents. That's not going to happen in Chicago. And if they try it, I'm going to use every tool at my disposal to stop them. We still have a constitution. We still have laws on the book, and I'm going to use those to deploy against them. We're not going to have tyranny in the city of Chicago.
Governor, we just have about a minute left, but do these troops need to be there?
She should use every tool available to protect Black lives. Over the last 3 weekends, there have been 221 shootings. 39 people have died, many of them children, virtually all of them Black. These are happening in neighborhoods in the Black community. It doesn't happen in her neighborhood or where Governor Pritzker lives or where I live. It would be unacceptable and intolerable if that were the case. So to think about the thought about what she's saying, let's say your house is on fire and she's going to refuse the help of her neighbor to throw buckets of water on the fire because she doesn't like her next door neighbor. She's failing in her responsibility to protect the public. She ought to use every tool available. And when the president offers to help, she ought to embrace that help and not play politics with it. This is why, and the irony is, it's about saving Black lives. So evidently with this mayor, who ironically is Black lives don't matter.
Right. Well, Governor, you're absolutely right. Too many people are dying week after week in Chicago, a lot of them minorities. We need to do everything we can do to save those lives, no matter who's offering the help. I appreciate your perspective on this. Look forward to following up on you because I think there's so much happening in the city of Chicago and want to make sure we keep getting your perspective.
Thank you, Sean. If I really, very fast, I want to tell you, my younger daughter, Annie, thought you were fantastic on Dancing with the Stars. She insisted I tell you that.
Thank you. You did very well. Thank you. Anyway, all right. A lot of topics that we covered ground today. Lindsay and I are going to give you our take when we get back.